Hi, boys and girls. Happy Friday. And it is Fluency Friday. So we have a fluency lesson that we are going to go over and talk about today. And so fluency is a combination of two things. It's working on decoding words and understanding and comprehending what we read. Okay, so some of those really important things about being a fluent reader is paying close attention to your accuracy, not eliminating words or adding words, but most importantly, learning to say the words right. Part of fluency is I read with appropriate expression. I don't sound like a robot. I read smoothly with careful regard to punctuation, which means we're not super bumpy. We work on the punctuation and we work on the words. So we look for our commas, our dialogue and emotion, and parts that the author emphasizes. I read with a natural pace, like you're having a normal conversation. So you don't want to stop, go. So we don't do that in conversation. We're going to work on still, even though we're reading to be smooth and do these other things, we still think about our reading and focus on the comprehending. Okay, so if you notice right up here, there is a learning target. We have been talking about how we're going to really work on having you tell us what your learning target is for the day. So it'll help you focus in on what you are learning. So your learning target today in fluency is accuracy. It doesn't mean you don't work on those other things. We do as readers, we juggle. But in this case, our number one goal today is accuracy. We listened to your reading last week, and what we noticed a lot is when you came upon unfamiliar words, a lot of you would go, and there was no working the words out. You either skipped them or you mumbled them and just skipped right on past them. So we're going to work on some of those strategies today and taking the time to stop, pause, and fix it up and reread so you can get and say those words right. So here's a few things you could do. Some accuracy strategies. None of what you have today is pictures, so that one won't be helpful. One strategy you could use today is using beginning and ending sounds, which means you'll get your lips ready to read those sounds. You could stretch and blend sounds and then reread that word. You could chunk letters and sounds together. You could skip the word and then come back. I'm leery about saying that one because we did notice some of you skipped the word, but unfortunately you didn't come back and work and fix that word up. Okay, so if you're going to skip it, it's just really until the end of the sentence and then you come back. If that didn't work, you try something different. So not one of these strategies is going to work for you. You guys are getting older. You're becoming more mature readers, and you are going to be exposed to bigger words. And so these strategies will help you do that. Okay, so we don't want to skip the words. We want to learn to use these and expand your vocabulary. The next one you could try is you could trade a word for a word you know that means the same thing. And if it makes sense, that's okay. Great strategy here. Flip the sound. So try a short and long vowel sounds. And the last one is a super powerful strategy too. It's called cross-checking. So as you're reading fluently, working on your fluency and accuracy today, as you read the words, you want to go, do the words look right? Do they sound right? Do they make sense? Did that feel right? And if not, then you know you have some work to do on figuring that word out. So why is this so important? I mean, look at Garfield. Silly cat. And then you have a frustrated look over here, a confused face here. Because good readers know when they do not understand a word, a passage, or a story. So for us, it's a word. And last week, some of you didn't know, but I think you did know. You didn't use a fix-up strategy. And so you kind of feel like this and you feel like this because we will probably ask you to reread things if you're just going to skip words and not work on figuring them out. Because our goal is to help you be a stronger reader, okay, and not just quit like Garfield here. Okay, so what we want you to do as you're reading today, if you come across an unknown word or an unfamiliar word and you're not 100% sure if that makes sense, then you stop and you're going to dig out some strategies. When I say dig out, pull out from the things you've learned and from the list of strategies you will have today to pick from. Because remember, one tool won't always work, so you might have to try multiple ones. So on this one, what I like is that it breaks it down into two parts of words, because to understand words, we have to understand this side and this side. But boys and girls, we're not working on both today. On the right side here, it says if you don't know what a word means. That wasn't our goal. We're not going to work on comprehension. This one says if you can't read the word, what do you do? So that would be decoding. And these look pretty much as the same strategies as earlier, except for number 4. You do have permission to ask for help. A friend, a classmate, a teacher, a parent, as long as you've juggled a couple of those other strategies on your own first. So part of your learning target with your accuracy today is making your reading not sound bumpy. So if you're stopping and pausing with words that you're not sure what they are, it does make you stop, go. And we call that a bumpy ride through your reading. We want you to get really smooth like here and really smooth like here. We don't want you to be hilly and going in holes. Okay, we really want you to go back, stop, fix it, and reread. Okay, please don't rush and be ready to read to us on the first read. No one's ready to be a perfect smooth reader the first time, definitely not even the second time. Okay, so use your thinking cap, but use your patience with yourself in our assignment too. Okay, so what would help you with not sounding bumpy? Okay, the punctuation, stopping and pausing, and working on all those things as a fluent reader. I see the same strategies here. The reason I put this one on here to help you say words accurately and work on them, fix them up, is I like these two right here. So there's chunk it, look for other words inside it, look for rhyming. This one, this was the other one too. Spell the word out loud. So there are a lot of different ways we can work, but we have to put in the time. We have to put in a genuine effort and be patient in working the word out and then rereading. You got it. We know you can do it. So here are our areas of fluency. We are working on this one. Okay, doesn't mean you're not going to work on having a good pace or rate. Doesn't mean you don't pay attention to punctuation and sounding like a robot. But this is the main one that really stood out to us last week, is that we heard you skipping words instead of putting in the work to read the words right. So today, you want to get your mouth and your lips ready to try the strategies you heard and saw, because you will be given those. And the other one is to not sound bumpy, to be smooth. You have to be willing to try these strategies up here and then be willing to reread. If you're willing to do those 3 things and just practice and have fun with your reading today, then that'll happen. You'll do a great job. You'll grow. Let's get this one. There it is. Okay, so accuracy, working on the mouth, working on the mouth so we can be smooth. I'm hoping this doesn't kick me off.
Put up timings for your transitions and things like that. That's not to do with this.
I'm very confused. What's going on with my computer right now? That was strange. So I'm going to say it on that page before. You are going to set a fluency goal today. I set the first one for you, which was our learning targets that I've already read twice now. The second post-it, you're going to choose, just like you do in writing, and you guys have been doing awesome. We're going to give you a list of ideas of things you could try with your fluency accuracy today, and you choose one and work on it. Okay? So I'm going to do a little bit of modeling. Okay? So I notice up here that the third read is circled because throughout your reading, if number 3 is circled, that's when we would like you to do the audio. Don't do the audio until after your third or fourth read. Okay? So I'm going to practice first. If our goal is to work on accuracy, that means the first time I read it, I'm going to think about it, but what I'm going to be looking for are those unfamiliar words. So here we go. The hottest place in the world is Dalal. That's a challenging one. Ethiopia. That's challenging with a mean temperature of 93.9 degrees. Coldest place in the world. Look at these words, boys and girls. But there is something I notice about all of them. Can you see what I see? They all have capital uppercase letters, which means all 5 of these. This one's kind of a good toughie too. That means all 5 of those are proper nouns. So they're places in this case. Okay, so that was my first read. In the first read, it's your job to go through and identify which words do you need to practice a little bit first. So on your second read, you can be less bumpy and more smooth. So, dalal. So I'm going to re-say it. I'm going to chunk it, break it up. Dalal, dalal. And then I'll say dalal. The next one is Ethiopia. Dalal, Ethiopia. Next one is plateau, station, Antarctica, and degrees. So I'm going to read it my second time and see if I sound smoother and less pauses. The hottest place in the world is Dalal, Ethiopia, with a mean temperature of 93.9 degrees. The coldest place in the world is Plateau Station, Antarctica, with a mean temperature of negative 69.9 degrees. Ooh, boy, that is cold. So now I'm going to double check and make sure, are there any of these words that my tongue and my lips need to practice a few more times? Well, plateau, negative. Ethiopia, that's a tongue twister. Ethiopia. And so on my third one on Seesaw, you would hit the microphone and read it to us the third or fourth time. The hottest place in the world is Dalal, Ethiopia, with a mean temperature of 93.9 degrees. The coldest place in the world is Plateau Station, Antarctica, with a mean temperature of negative 69.9 degrees. I think I got smoother. And here it says, how is the word mean used? Dalal, Ethiopia, with a mean temperature. So I notice that it repeated the word temperature. And the other thing I notice is there's numbers. So it's 93.9 and negative 69.9. So it has to do with something with the numbers. It's not like somebody's being mean to somebody. Okay, so your second read looks a little different. Okay, third one, this one has a smiley face. Okay, and I am not asking you to do this step. So you're just crossing this part out. Instead, you are to read the passage 3 times and color a face after you read it each time. So remember, read 1. I'm going to read it to make sense, and I'm going to look for unfamiliar words and circle them. A big dog and a bluebird went outside. The big dog said, "It is a good day to be outside." The bluebird and the big dog ran and played all day. Then they sat down to rest. The big dog looked at the bluebird and said, "You are blue like the sky." The bluebird looked at the big dog and said, "You are big like the sky." They were happy to be playing and running under a big blue sky. So then I'm going to color it in. And I guess what I notice about this one, there's not as much words, but as a reader, I have to adjust to all this punctuation. There's a lot of punctuation, a lot of dialogue. So I really, in my second read, I need to do a better job of using that punctuation because that's what the author wanted. So I have to read it that way. So here we go. A big dog and a blue bird went outside. The big dog said, "It is a good day to be outside." The bluebird and the big dog ran and played all day. Then they sat down to rest. The big dog looked at the bluebird and said, "You are blue like the sky." And the bluebird looked at the big dog and said, "You are big like the sky." And they were happy to be playing and running under a big blue sky. And there's the second time. And on the third time, boys and girls, remember, that's the one you are going to choose the microphone tool on Seesaw and record right over the top of the passage, just like you did last week. Okay, so now what's really, really important to know is your third passage each week is going to be a little bit harder. Not necessarily longer, but there will be harder words, which means that you're going to work on those and using those strategies. Okay, so I'm going to start with reading it, circling unfamiliar words, so then I can put time in to using strategies and decoding it. And then I can reread it a second time. Shake, rattle, and roll. Earthquakes happen many times a day in all parts of the world. An earthquake happens when giant rocks change. That's kind of a toughie right there. Far below the Earth's surface. Look at that word. Looks pretty unfamiliar, huh? It's at the point of above the, but that one. Underground, the United States. Whoa. Whoosh. Look at those words. Tracks the hundreds of earthquakes that happen every day. An earthquake, shoosh, of doing lots of damage. Whole cities can be destroyed. However, most earthquakes go. And then check those out. So now, before I'm going to check off my first read, I did my job. I looked for unfamiliar words. Before I reread it, I don't go just to rereading it. And this is what some of you did last week. You need to go work on those words first. Break them up, look for parts, vowels. That's what we mean. Decoding means work it out, figure it out, and then reread it a second time. And so if I come across this word, I see shun. Oh, position. You want to say it like 3 times. Position, position, position. So if you're not saying it, then when you go to reread it, you won't remember. I recognize a word in here, do you? The word is center. So I got to figure out the beginning. Epicenter, epicenter, epicenter. Ooh, I see the word move. Movement. Ooh, that one's tough. I'm going to go with that one last. I see survey. Oh, survey. This is one of my favorite words. So I know maybe for you guys that might have looked a little bit bigger, but I love the word capable. And then right inside here, boys and girls, I see a familiar word. Can you see that? Notice. So I'm adding an ending and a beginning. Unnoticed. Unnoticed. Oh, here's that big one. Geological. 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 Woo, look how many syllables. Geological. Geological. I'm ready for read 2. I said the words enough. I think my tongue isn't going to mess them up. Shake, rattle, and roll. Earthquakes happen many times a day in all parts of the world. An earthquake happens when giant rocks change position far below the Earth's surface. The epicenter is the point at ground level directly above the movement underground. The United States Geological Survey tracks the hundreds of earthquakes that happen every day. An earthquake is capable of doing lots of damage. Whole cities can be destroyed. However, most earthquakes go unnoticed. Read 2. See the process, boys and girls? It doesn't matter how short your fluency is, how big or how hard. You attack it in all the same way. You read it once, just kind of think about it and circle all those unfamiliar words. And then before you even go read it a second time, boys and girls, you need to study the words. And don't move on to rereading till you're 100% sure how to say every single one of those words the right way. Once you can do that and you're confident and you use strategies and ask for help, you are ready for reread 2 and 3. And we are super excited to hear your fluency this week, readers. So lastly, just like last week, we are going to ask you to color in and shade and then type here at the bottom. Okay? So I think I worked hard on my accuracy, and I'm giving myself a smiley face because I put in the effort, especially on that really hard one. I didn't rush. I didn't go straight to rereading. I made the effort and time to figure the words out. I think I read at a good pace. My expression a little bit at times was mediocre. And I think I could have worked on my punctuation a little bit. Okay, so what I would want to work on next time is my expression. Okay, so when you're done with your fluency today, give yourself a grade and find a comfortable spot in your classroom or find a comfortable spot at home and just spend some time reading and have fun.